Revealed to the world at the 2021 MAKS Air Show, the Sukhoi Su-75 Checkmate is a planned single-engine 5th-generation stealth fighter for the Russian Air Force and as an export option for Russia's allies. Internally, the fighter is designated as the T-75. Sukhoi intentionally chose the nickname Checkmate for its fighter, since it feels that it can provide a competitor to the F-35 at 4th-generation prices. Is this possible? Only time will tell. The model revealed at the air show is essentially an early engineering prototype. Today, we will take a look at what we know about the Checkmate, including some interesting design inspirations, its reported capabilities, and which nations might consider adopting the Checkmate as their frontline fighter. Before we go any further, keep in mind that this aircraft is still very much under development, and the data presented here are from publicly available sources. If information changes or you have access to more current information, let me know in the comments below. Airframe. A prominent feature of the Checkmate is the wraparound angular ventral inlet, which shares commonality with the divertless supersonic inlet or DSI, which was used on the Boeing X-32. The DSI eliminates the need for a splitter plate which would normally help control the airflow into the engine. The use of a DSI is said to require less applications of radar-absorbing materials, thereby reducing costs. Additionally, to help maintain the Checkmate's stealth profile, the engine fan blades are concealed from radar emissions by making use of a curved, ducted design for the air intake. Current speculation is that this curve is S-shaped to allow for room for the internal weapons bay. Another feature of the Checkmate is its use of rudder vaders, which are similar to the ones that were used on the YF-23 Black Widow. The use of rudder vaders can also help keep costs low by eliminating the need for separate vertical and horizontal stabilizers with moving rudders and elevators. It is important to note that since the Checkmate incorporates rudder vaders, advanced flight control systems will need to be developed by Sukhoi, as neither the Su-35 Flanker E or Su-57 Felon use this control setup. The wings of the Checkmate are large, which provide high lift efficiency and is similar in design philosophy to the Su-57, indicating that Russia's preference for super maneuverability seems to be incorporated into the design. And lastly, along with the single-seat Checkmate, Sukhoi plans to make a dual-seat version and a pilotless drone version, which will be flown to some degree by artificial intelligence. Armament. To maintain its stealth profile, the Checkmate will carry its missiles in internal weapons bays. Currently, the maximum payload is stated to be about 16,000 pounds. Similar to the F-22 Raptor, the Checkmate appears to have small weapons bays on the sides of the fuselage, which likely will house short-range, heat-seeking air-to-air missiles. Additionally, a larger bay is located underneath the fuselage, which can house medium to long-range air-to-air missiles or air-to-ground ordnance, possibly even cruise missiles. For non-stealthy missions, external underwing hardpoints can be equipped and could mount larger weapons such as anti-ship or even hypersonic missiles. And given its open architecture design, along with its intention of being an export fighter, the Checkmate could carry non-Russian weapons and integrate them into its fire control systems. Sensors. Although exact details of the Checkmate's cockpit are still somewhat unknown, reports indicate that the cockpit layout is similar to that of the Su-57, which features a glass cockpit and two 15-inch multifunction LCD displays. Additionally, a wide-angle 30° by 22° heads-up display or HUD is incorporated. The use of a HUD is interesting. Many have already compared the Checkmate to Lockheed's F-35 Lightning. However, the F-35 does not incorporate a HUD. Instead, a helmet-mounted display system or HMDS is used, which allows Lightning pilots to view flight and combat data at all times. When it comes to radar, the Checkmate is designed with an active phased array radar. To control costs, a low-cost actively electronically scanned array or AESA radar is also in development. Designers at Sukhoi say that this radar system will be able to simultaneously track up to 30 targets and engage 6 of them. Additionally, the Checkmate will reportedly make use of the 101 KSV Infrared Search and Track or IRST system. Since IRST systems do not emit radiation on their own, they are passive and as a result are more difficult to detect. To keep maintenance costs low, the Matryoshka automated logistics support system will use equal parts of fighter development and construction is the aircraft's engines. It takes massive amounts of engineering, material science, and quality control to produce a high-performance jet engine. In this regard, Russia and China have both struggled with advanced jet engine designs. Early reports indicate that the engine to be used in the Checkmate will be the NOP Saturn Izdili 30, similar to the ones used in the Su-57M variant. The Izdili 30 is intended to be about 30% lighter than its predecessor, with about 20% more output. The planned thrust range is 23,000 pounds of thrust dry and 38,600 pounds with afterburner. For comparison, the F-35's Pratt & Whitney F-135 PW100 engine puts out 43,000 pounds of thrust with afterburner. Continuing with Russia's emphasis on supermaneuverability, the Checkmate's Izdili 30 engine will feature 3D thrust vectoring. One interesting note, the Checkmate is Russia's first single-engine fighter since the MiG-23. Specifications. As of the making of this video, here are the reported specifications for the Checkmate. Maximum speed, Mach 1.8. Combat radius, 930 miles. Ferry range, 1,800 miles. Maximum load, 16,000 pounds. Service ceiling, 40,000 feet. G limits, positive 8 Gs. First flight planned for 2023. Test airframes planned for 2024 through 2025. Initial entry into service planned for 2026. Unit costs, under $30 million. Estimated production run, up to 300 planes over 15 years. Export options. As mentioned previously, the Checkmate uses a complete open architecture, which means that customers can install Russian, domestic, and foreign systems in the fighter. As for which countries may be interested in the Checkmate, according to Deputy Prime Minister Yuri Borisov at the MAX 21 International Aviation Expo, quote, "Firstly, the aircraft will be oriented toward African countries, India, and Vietnam," end quote. Additionally, there appears to be interest from Turkey, Iran, and Argentina. It is speculated that Sukhoi would be willing to allow joint under-licensed production, meaning that a customer who purchased the fighter in large numbers would be allowed to construct at least some of the components locally. Competition-wise, given the reported price point, the Checkmate would likely go up against Saab's Gripen or the Chinese Shengang J-35. The carrier or naval version of the Checkmate would likely be of interest to India, who is currently operating the MiG-29K. India also appears to be an early favorite to adopt the Checkmate, as they had previously invested in the Su-57 Felon and are looking for an additional fighter in large numbers to augment their homegrown Tejas multi-role fighter. India is the world's fourth largest air force, currently operating over 670 active combat aircraft, many of which are Russian jets. Essentially, Russia hopes the Checkmate can be the 21st century version of the MiG-21 Fishbed, an effective and affordable aircraft that other nations can operate in large numbers. And speaking of the Fishbed, over the years, India has acquired some 800 MiG-21s, arguably forming the backbone of the Indian Air Force. Challenges. While the mock-up and reported specifications of the Checkmate are impressive, there is no guarantee that it will reach full production status. Success of the Checkmate will largely depend on foreign customers placing and keeping orders for the aircraft, thereby investing hard currency into the program. Currently, Sukhoi is developing the Checkmate with internal funds. Additionally, the composite materials needed to produce the Checkmate are another question mark. Sukhoi has stated that it would take at least a year to complete static testing of the aircraft structure, and this will present a challenge to Russia's composite materials industry, which is not as developed as those in the US or Europe. The Saturn Izdili 30 engine is not yet in production and still undergoing flight tests. The engine, which as mentioned previously is also to be used in the Su-57 Felon, has been plagued by technical and material issues. In fact, current Su-57s are being flown with the lower performing and not designed for stealth Saturn AL-41 F1 engines. The AL-41s are the same engines found on the 4th generation Su-35s. This is important since if the Checkmate is to be a true 5th generation stealth fighter, the Izdili 30 must be incorporated into the production versions from day one to satisfy potential export customers. One needs only to look at the continued delays in the Su-57 Felon, with repeated pushbacks each year as to when it will reach full production status. And lastly, as those of us who have followed the development and evolution of the F-35, cost overruns and delays are highly likely. Anytime a new technology or design is implemented, there will be unforeseen obstacles to overcome. The challenge for the F-35 was to be an heir-to-everything dominance fighter platform. The challenge for the Checkmate appears to be to deliver 5th generation capabilities at 4th generation prices. Conclusions. With a planned service entry in 2026, it will be interesting to see how the Checkmate develops. While not likely as advanced as the F-35, the Checkmate does offer some 5th generation capabilities to nations that could otherwise not afford to field a stealth aircraft in large numbers. As we learn more about the Su-75, I'll be sure to produce ongoing update videos and track its progress. What do you think? Does the Checkmate appear to be an effective 5th generation fighter? Will the cost remain at $30 million per copy? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click on the subscribe button and then click on the bell for notifications.